Okay. For some reason, I thought it was 4. Yeah, because she's Wednesdays and Fridays. She leaves early because she's got stuff with Rachel.
Okay.
Deb, you're here.
Well, and I'm cold.
You look cold. Holy crap.
Yeah, I just came in from outside, and let me tell you, the wind is blowing and it's cold. So I'm going to just keep all bundled up.
You stay bundled up.
No, I get warmed up. Brr. Yeah, we got winds. What was it last night? 40 miles an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, and I went outside to my chicken coop, since we're not live. I went outside to my chicken coop.
No.
All of my bales that keep the north side protected were all scattered everywhere.
Oh, no.
I had to go out this morning and put that all back together. So
Oh,
it's cold out there.
You've got cold. And Jessica, how is your knee?
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, I saw that on Facebook yesterday. Yeah, she dislocated her knee. Oh, my God.
Well, I am making progress. I am now able to just hobble around with just a cane. So that's an improvement over crutches, because crutches were giving me bruises in my hands.
Right.
I don't like them. So judging by past history, because this is not the first time this has happened, I'm probably going to be in a knee brace for anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, my heavens.
Well, that's what I'm starting to think. I buggered out my plantar fasciitis. And that's what I'm starting to think. I'm thinking, oh, stretches for a couple weeks. No, that's not working. So I pulled out my cane, and I'm like actually starting to think, I'm like, holy crap, because at night it's worse when I try to get up to bed, because of course, I sit most of the day, right, from what we do. And it seems to be worse from that. And I'm starting to think like, oh my God, I think I need crutches, because I looked it up and they're like, yeah, up to 6 months for healing. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So it is going to be, again, depending on how much you exercise it, but you can't do much. You just have to wait for it to heal.
Yes, I cannot do anything yet, and I'm trying to avoid going to a doctor for it, because it's not my first rodeo. So
yep.
They'll want to do an MRI and all that fun stuff, and I'm still paying for my last hospital visit, so I don't want to add new medical bills. So I am gonna, right now, it's on track based on what I've been expecting. I imagine in a week or so I can do some physical therapy exercises, because I've had physical therapy before. I know what I can do at home. So
yep.
Depending on how it goes from then I'll decide if I really need to go to a specialist, but hopefully not. So far, my recovery has been on track.
Awesome. Good. Well,
and how did you do it?
Just walking.
Walking?
Yeah, because what happens is, when I was a teenager, I used to be a dancer. Mm-hmm. So when I was 14 years old, I was rehearsing, and my foot went in one direction, my leg went the other. So it's completely moved at the knee level, and the ligament that is supposed to hold the patella, which is the kneecap, in place, snapped. So ever since then, my doctor said, expect that bone to move whenever you step on it wrong. And this is my weather predicting me. It can tell you when it's gonna rain. And 2 nights ago, it was raining a lot, so it was really hurting. And I stood up. I was just getting ready to, turn off the lights to go to bed, and he gave out on me, and I just went down.
Oh no!
I felt for you as soon as I saw that.
That's awful.
As somebody who, as a fellow injured person, maybe not that, but different ways. When you injure yourself, re-injury, it doesn't take much. Like with me to throw my back out, I cough. That's it. I cough the wrong way, or you know what, like
hard. Yeah.
I've even thrown my back out because I tooted the wrong way at the wrong time. I'm like, are you flipping kidding me? But it depends on how your muscles are feeling and the
how cold it is outside.
All of because your muscles would be tense, or even twisting the wrong way, or it doesn't take much. So.
Gosh, that's terrible. Well, I hope you feel healed fast.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Like I said, I just immediately, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Okay. So it looks like it's just this so far. So we will go live. Here we go. And of course, I'm out in the other room right now because I'm like, there's no time for me to go out back into the other room and turn my laptop on and we're quiet. There's just the two of us in here today. So,
Like I said, I just ran in, so it's like, well, I'm cold. I might look like a nitwit, but I don't care. My ears are warm now, so
yeah.
leave it on.
If
Well,
I
that's good.
disappear, it's just that I need to move to a different location, but I'll try to rejoin on Facebook at least.
Awesome. All right. So Bookkeepers Corner group. Oh, and I need the Zoom link too. Where's that? Okay, so be on the cloud, hashtag freestyling Fridays. Can't spell. Hashtag
That's not a requirement, is it? Spelling?
If you want the hashtags to be right, I think probably.
Oh, okay.
Just live on Zoom at 4 in Facebook chat. Bianca's already emailing. Are you going live? I can't wait to start watching. She can't join us live, but okay.
Yep, it's live.
Perfect. All right. Hello, Facebook world. And of course, anybody else watching. We are live today for Beyond the Cloud. And there's only a couple of us so far today. Oh, and I'm looking at my face that's scrunched up on Facebook Live. I froze for a minute while I was looking very serious. And let me tell you, I don't like my serious face. It doesn't look so good. Anyhow, yes, so welcome. Anybody wants to join us live, the link is there. You can join us live through here. You can feel free to turn your video on, just join by just your voice if you don't want your video, and that's great. Or feel free to just go ahead and type in. So we're letting somebody else come in right now. So why don't we go around and introduce ourselves, those of us that are here right now. And I don't know, I shared something out on Facebook yesterday, although I think I saw Jessica's answered. Hey, Stacy, how are you? Oh, you're muted. Oh, you're good? Okay, perfect. Okay, so why don't we go around and introduce ourselves and just what is our guilty pleasure, or in Jessica's case, non-guilty pleasure.
I have zero guilt.
So I'm Tanya Hiltz, founder of Cloud Bookkeeping Services and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. And anybody who knows a little bit about me or has even stalked me or looked at my Facebook stuff knows that my guilty pleasure, and I only have guilt because of the amount of money I spend on them at conventions, is Supernatural. The TV show, nothing into black magic or anything like that. It's I started watching it because of Jensen Ackles, who plays Dean. I'd been literally creeping and stalking him from his Days of Our Lives days, like 30 years ago. So he's been my TV boyfriend for 30 years, and the fact that I could see him in prime time was awesome. And then now I spend every Thanksgiving with him, and that's the guilty part, is when my husband sees the bills of how much it costs me to go to these fan conventions for the experiences that we have. So they're great experiences, one-off experiences, but let me tell you, I pay for most of my daughter and myself, and they're like $5,000 weekends. So yeah, I see your look. That is the guilty part, but the non-guilty part is it's tax season money that goes towards that, and that's usually, I used to do something big for myself right after tax season. Now I have to do it 6 months later, but I'm like, no, if I didn't have that, tax season would go. So that's what I push through tax season for.
Funny.
So who's next? Deb, you are next in my circle. So
Okay. Well, I'm Deb Fletcher. I'm located in Colorado. I specialize in e-commerce accounting. And let's see, I was trying to think of something. I don't have exciting stories like you do. The only thing I spend probably more money than I should on are my chickens. How's that? Right now, I think I have 60, maybe a little more, a little less. But I actually had to fence in the property. I fenced in 3 acres to keep them safe from the coyotes, and now I just have to worry about the hawks and the owls that are coming in. So that's pretty much it. I do like to get the chicks when they're babies and bring them home, but unfortunately with my last order, I ended up with some roosters. So now it looks like I'm going to be doing my own chicken raising rather than buying. So that's it. That's
Interesting.
And the reason I have a cap on is I just ran in from outside and my ears are still cold, and it's really cold here in Colorado. The wind's blowing and yuck. So I think it's a new look for me.
You know, I actually used to live on a farm. And when I say that, I'm talking like 1 year. So I didn't live on a farm very long.
Oh, okay.
But we did have chickens. We had 100 chickens that were dropped off as they were chicks. And my mother I was grade 2 or 3. My mother used to think that I was completely demented because what child would love to see? Most people are like, oh, you know, I can't watch it go down. I couldn't watch the axe go down at that moment, but I thought it was hilarious to see the body running around on one side and the head squawking on the other side. It reminded me of a cartoon, but I did have a pet chicken. One of the little guys, he had a broken foot. So I called him Hoppy, and he actually became a house chicken and slept with me.
There you go.
Yes, my mother didn't like it. She would take him out as soon as she found out I snuck him into the house. But yeah.
No, I take mine to the processor and I let them do it. I can't. I cannot handle that. That's beyond my skill set. We'll put it that way.
It was only 1 year, and then my mother divorced that guy shortly after. So
problem solved.
Yeah. All right. So Jessica, you're next in my circle.
Hi, I'm Jessica Fox from Florida Virtual Bookkeeper, also known as Bandora Fox on Facebook. I specialize in service-based businesses, mostly using QBO, but definitely all cloud accounting and fully virtual. In the Facebook group, I had answered that my guilty pleasure was watching Doctor Who. I love anything Doctor Who, especially for those that are nerds like me, new Who, not so much classic Who. But I have zero guilt about it. Now, unlike Tanya, I don't spend thousands of dollars on it. My husband kind of like feeds my geekiness, so he just buys me stuff or gives me experiences. So if I had to pick a guilty pleasure that I'm like, okay, I am spending money on this, it would be Legos. I am an AFOL. For those that don't know what that stands, is adult fan of Lego. And I will spend money on Lego sets. That is my guilty pleasure. That is not something that I need to have. It's just something I like to have. My kids are Lego fans, but they know Mama's Legos are off limits. I don't share my sets. I don't share my builds. I get them their own.
Oh, that's funny. So
that's why on Facebook, my profile photo is a Lego minifig.
And that makes sense now. So anybody out there watching, if anybody ever sees a Lego like accountant office or, you know, bookkeeping office, something like that, grab it. I will send you the money for it. Let's send it to Jessica.
I do have a custom build. I do have like a little Lego office. It's got the little desk with the computer and then the coffee mug and everything. Unfortunately, like I probably wouldn't be able to just pick it up. I don't have a base for it. But my desk is surrounded by Legos. I've got like my Lego calendar, which I'll need to update tomorrow. And of course, it's got Doctor Who characters at the top because I can find the two. My pencil holder is Lego. So I got, you know, keeping Doctor Who, I got the TARDIS in Lego.
My daughter has the TARDIS, and she also has, I don't know what it's called because I'm not a Who fan, but she has the, I don't know, it's like it's a gear, like I would call it like kind of like a Swiss Army knife thing that.
The sonic screwdriver?
That's it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she has that. She's a Who fan too. So I don't think she's watched as much since there's been the female Who. I think she's kind of trickled off a little bit since the new female
unfortunately,
Who.
I haven't been able to watch just because of my cable provider doesn't get that channel, and I've had trouble streaming it.
Oh,
but
okay.
I do have access to previous seasons, and I do binge watch those.
Awesome. All right, Stacy, you're next in my circle.
Oh my. Well, hello, I'm Stacy, and I am located in Winnipeg, which is usually one of the coldest spots certainly in Canada, if not all of North America, but we have had this balmy weather for the last couple of weeks. I think it's only -5, -10 this last couple of weeks, which is not normal for Winnipeg.
Wow.
As for guilty pleasure, I don't know. I spent a lot of money on a lot of things. I don't know which one's really guilty.
Well, there you go.
You know those memes, I see them on Facebook all the time. I'm going to this year complete all the craft projects that I purchased last year because I saw them on Pinterest the year before, and that's me. I do have an awful lot of wool that are still in balls and not in knitted projects. So
Well, you know what? Balls, if you're in one of the colder areas of North America, and Deb maybe does similar things because it gets darn cold there too, is, you know what, if it's in a ball, you can just easily like grab it and like shove your fist in the middle or like just pull it on your foot. So there you go. It can like go anywhere.
it's like
As long as you're not allergic to wool.
yeah.
Right. That
Yeah.
would be key.
And
Yeah.
that's, for me, I get near wool and I just start itching. I don't even have to put it on. I just look at it and it's like, oh, I start scratching.
Oh my gosh.
That really is too bad. We went to well, maybe this is my guilty pleasure. I went to the Fiber Festival. We have one every year, and you show up and you have just booths and booths and booths of people who are selling their hand spun wool in all sorts of different weights, and they had alpacas there, and they looked at me, and it's like my friend said, "Look, Stace, unprocessed wool."
They're so cute though.
Right? And they're really soft and the whole bit. But I found out at the last Fiber Fest that sheep that are grown specifically for their wool wear sweaters.
Ah.
And it
To
took
keep
me
it nice. Yeah.
to keep it nice and clean and whatnot. And it took me the longest time to get the realization that these sweaters are made out of canvas and they're not really fancy, because all I kept thinking were these sheep are wearing knitted, I don't know why I had red in my head, red, those Norwegian with the anyway.
That's funny.
But yes, wool sheep actually wear sweaters.
I kind of thought the same thing when you said it's sweaters too. That's kind of what popped into my head, a visual of a sweater.
Right? Evidently we're not sheep farmers, Tanya.
But you know what, if I were ever to get into alpaca wool, I would just go, I'm sorry, turn off. I would actually just go and get an alpaca and just like bring it home as a pet. And if I got cold, I would just go, come here and snuggle.
So one of the things, my daughter is a Highland dancer, and I spend a lot of time with the other dance moms and whatnot. And they're all competitive kids, and so we spend a lot of time together. We actually came up with a whole business plan. One of the moms was going to have a farm and raise alpacas. The other mom was going to shear them, and I was going to knit all the Highland dance socks. We were going to come up with a whole business plan. I'm waiting for them to buy the alpacas before I do it.
Of course.
Yeah. Sure.
All right. And if Santa, last but not least.
Hi. What do I supposed to say? Guilty pleasure, right?
Yeah, just introduce yourself and your guilty pleasure.
Okay. I'm Afsana Borzi, and the founder of Next Gen Business Solutions. And my guilty pleasure is going to these festivals and odd places and find unique jewelry. So if I find something that is, different, and, I just buy them. And then I end up with having so many of them. So recently I decided, you know what, I have to stop doing this, because it's just like I'm getting too many of them and I don't even get a chance to wear them all. But it's just so hard. So every time I go, I spend so much time at these kiosks that sell jewelry, and then I have to be pulled away from them by myself, nobody else, to just not buy them, But I love them, and especially those handmade ones, and they're so unique. They have such a nice personality. So that's what my guilty pleasure is.
Oh, nice. I have I always have such a hard time with jewelry. And so I found this line online. It's Maria Nicola is what it is. And basically it's one, came out on Facebook. And it's basically one necklace that you can wear 10 different ways. So I bought 4 of them and now I'm good forever. So I've got one is kind of like, I don't know, like a diamond look or whatever. And then one is like this, but dark. And then I've got some black saltwater pearls and some white saltwater pearls.
What's the name of it?
It's Maria Nicola. It comes from, I will say it's especially if you're hitting customs and have to pay customs for those of us in Canada, it can get expensive. I think so because I'm usually really, I'm the frugal one that is like, no, that's overpriced. But I kind of bought, when I commit, I really commit. So they've got like little things here that you can put, that you can like add in, or like little tassels that you can add in. And it's actually magnetic, which is really cool. So you just slide the magnets out and then, you know, take your new piece and put it in, and then voila, like there's a different look, or like whatever. It's really cool. So there you go, Santa. You're like, thanks.
I know. You know, this past October, I was in, when I went for my cruise, in Italy, there is a jewelry market. And so we went in, and they have these gold chain that like you can turn and twist. They are so soft that you wondering like, what do they do to these metal that are so you know, flexible? And it was way over my budget, like over $1,000 just for a necklace.
Wow. Okay, this is nowhere near that cost.
No, I know, but that was like gold, 18 karat gold, and you could turn and twist it. That's why I remember that, because you said you can do all kinds of things with it. So you can turn and twist it and make it into all kinds of different, you know, shape and style. And it was amazing. It was incredible.
Yeah. Or bracelets. So it's, yeah.
I made a note. I'm gonna check them out.
I'm on the website right now.
Excuse me. The only thing that gets, oh, here's Diane. The only thing that gets expensive really is if you can't pick just one, because they've got different colors. That's where you're like, oh, if you want to get, you know, the one of everything that does it, like, yeah, you may as well just buy stock in the company.
Have you ever seen those candles? Have you ever seen those candles where you get jewelry out of?
Oh, those are fun.
Right.
You never know what you're gonna get.
Like I have a couple of those, or rings. I'll never wear any of them, but it's so fun to get them out of the candles.
It's like, but you know what? You just need Kinder Surprise. They're probably cheaper.
They're a lot cheaper, but
And for those of you in the States who don't know what Kinder Surprise is, it's banned because we are just like horrible to our children up here, apparently. But yeah, Kinder Surprise, it's little, it's a toy in chocolate. So it's a little tiny.
The one like a little
egg. It's a chocolate.
One has chocolate. My kids are getting all their stocking stuffers. We are familiar.
Yes. So that's the one request that I've gotten from people when they know I'm coming down from the States. They're like, okay, Smarties, you know, ketchup chips, Kinder Surprise.
I have a friend of mine who's a CBSA agent, Canadian Border Services agent, and he was working in a border where basically half the building was situated in Canada and the other half was situated in the US. And one year at Easter, he went around to all of his US colleagues and he put Kinder Surprises on all of their desks. And the supervisor came in and he scooped them all up and he goes, no, really, you got to take these back. We would get into so much trouble. Like, we cannot have these.
They're very, very illegal. And apparently it has something to do with the fact that the toy in there is so small. But I mean, we know that we don't give it to our small kids. And
they are illegal? I didn't know that. So they can't buy them? Because I haven't been looking for them.
In Canada, they're fine. But in the States, they're illegal.
Oh, in the States.
But that is weird because I see them in stores all over the place now.
They are illegal.
It's been lifted, but I do know as of 2 years ago, that's when I last checked, because that's when somebody told me, and I'm like, you're joking. It
Well, I
was
just
so,
got some for last Christmas, so I wonder if whatever band was in place expired.
it very well could have expired. Either that or they just didn't care. They ordered them in and didn't care and just thought, well, hey, if they get caught, they get caught. If not, then no.
Yeah, in several
Who knows?
stores. So
I just looked it up, and it says Kinder eggs are coming to the U.S. legally.
Oh, there we go.
Nice.
Okay, I
But
know
this is back in 2017. Hold on.
I've been buying illegal fashion knives.
Okay, so 2017. So that's probably right after.
That's
I
probably
found it then.
before what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yay. So Americans get Kinder Surprise too. So there you go, Stacy. It's cheaper and you get chocolate.
Yeah, I know, but they're not as pretty.
You're right. They're not as pretty. But, all right. So Diane, you joined us late. We were just going around introducing ourselves and saying what our guilty pleasures are.
Guilty pleasure would definitely be probably a Grand Marnier or a hot chocolate coffee liqueur mix, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would think that would only be guilty if in abundance.
Well, then in that case, my guilty pleasure is coffee. I am a coffeeholic, and I spend a lot more on coffee than I should.
Yeah. You got that hint, Tanya, just perfectly. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
but
love Grand Marnier, and I can, like, even when you drink too much of something, you get sick and you never touch it again. I have gotten sick on Grand Marnier a few times in my life. Actually, my husband was just talking about that the other day when he went out to buy another 40-ouncer, and he said, "Do you remember the time when the two of us got sick?" Yeah, I love it. I just absolutely love it. So yeah.
Well, and you know what? It's stress relieving. So there you go. You love it. I don't drink that kind of liquor. So, but I bet you, and obviously it tastes good to you. I would think that I know that some of the liquor that I like to drink is very stress relieving and puts me in a happy mood. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Just kind of takes you down a notch when you're stressed. Like just
exactly.
Tanya, you discovered some new liquor on your cruise. What were they?
New liquor.
Like
There was no new liquor, I don't think.
no?
it was drinks. Some
Drink.
remember,
Not
yeah.
like there was something on your page with like a big, glass of something blue, colorful. What was it?
Yes. So what I do like to drink, I don't drink a lot, but I drink vodka. I'll drink some liqueurs, but I like my vodka, but it depends on what it's in. So what I drink when I'm on the cruise ship, I love it. And I've tried to do it at home too. And basically I get a daiquiri mix and mix it with vodka. So what it is, it's a, what do they call it? They call it a shade aid, which is lemonade. Like it's basically strawberry lemonade with some strawberries, some crushed ice, with some lemon citra, if I'm pronouncing that right, some lemon flavored vodka or raspberry flavored vodka. Yes, so I like that.
Sounds very good. I love vodka in my drink.
You know what? It's a smoothie with alcohol in it. And you don't really taste the alcohol. You taste the smoothie part, and then all of a sudden, like 3 or 4 later, you're like...
And then you're drunk.
Oh, yeah. I love those. So, yeah, I was going to say I didn't drink anything new. But the good thing is, and of course, hopefully they won't recognize me if I'm back on the ship, if anybody from the ship ever watches this. But because they look just like strawberry smoothies, my daughter, who is not included in the unlimited drink package, I basically go, what I do is you have to have 10 minutes apart from when you order a drink. So I go and order, from the bar, I get the smoothie, and then from the guy who walks around, I get the shade aid. So it looks like I'm just alternating back and forth, and then my daughter comes, and I'm like, here you go. You take this non-alcoholic one. And mind you, she's 18, so she took 1 or 2 of the alcoholic ones this time around. But so, yeah. All right. So what do we have? People were, I guess, asking if we had a topic today. And I'm like, we don't normally have topics.
Yeah.
But I wonder, does anybody have anything that they wanted to?
Oh, you know what? I could help. I could use some help with something. It's QBO. That's where I always need the help. But anyways,
Well, and you're in the right place for it because
exactly.
you've got a couple QBO
That's
experts.
exactly what just dawned on me. So I should actually put it out there. And I haven't actually dug into this, so I could probably figure it out. But you guys will probably give me the answer in 2 seconds. So I have a client that has gotten a loan from the bank. And the bank has actually set it up on their side of the system, so it's hooked up to QBO, as an actual bank account. So it's almost more like a line of credit, in my mind,
Right.
than an actual bank account. But here's the thing, with QBO, it's sitting up in the bank account, and it should be a liability.
So I would still go ahead, and I do believe I've done this. I've done the opposite. Well, a client, sorry, not me. I had to fix it because the client did the opposite. A client had his credit cards attached to the bank account. So if you set it up in QuickBooks as still your liability account, like a line of credit account, you should still be, in theory, because my client did it, be able to just connect it and it'll stay proper.
I had one. Isn't it a revolving loan?
Well,
Diane?
it's not supposed to be. It looks like that's what it I mean, I don't know. I've never had banks do that before unless it was a line of credit, because then it is revolving, right? But
Right.
this is just a straight, I saw the paperwork because I asked her for it because I thought this isn't making sense. That it is, it's a loan for a truck. It's got interest every month. And so when I go into QBO, it's sitting up there as a bank and it's reducing as the payments
Right.
come out, right? But it, just in my mind, that's just not right. It should be down on the liability so I can actually post
Why can you
interest every
hook
month.
it to a liability account in your QBO though?
Well, that's what I'm asking. So
Yeah, and you should be able to.
Yeah.
Like you say, my
Just
client
change
did the
your
opposite.
account, your GL. Yeah.
set up the GL as a liability account,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And then how do you hook a liability account to a bank account?
It'll just, it should, again, in theory, because my client did the opposite. I've never purposely tried to do that, but he was able to just go in and just pick which, it just gave him his full list. So in theory, if he did it,
I'm looking
think
it up
you should
because I
do it.
have a client that we did it. Let me see if I find it. No, you don't have to wait for me. I'm going to come
Because
back to you.
I wanted to set it up for her because I don't do her bookkeeping. She does it herself. But
Right.
of course, that's a little bit too complicated for her to do,
right.
which is why she's come to me. And I wanted to set it up as just a recurring entry so that she opens the recurring entry every month, changes just the interest portion. Principal portion is always the same. She just needs to change the interest portion and then post it. But that's not going to work the way it is right now.
When you go to
Right.
edit your GL account,
Yeah.
you can select like a credit card. That would be a liability account. That's how we did it.
Oh, so not a bank, but say it's a credit card and then hook it up to the bank that way.
Yeah.
That could be the workaround then, I guess.
Yeah.
That's how we did it. Yeah.
Like say, yeah, my client did the opposite because like say he had it as in there as a bank account and hooked up to a credit card and yeah.
Okay, so if I change it, set it up as a credit card and then hook that to the bank account, then that should be okay because she can then just post the recurring entry to that credit
Yep.
card.
Yeah.
Exactly, and everything will be on the right side. So you're
Yeah.
basically tricking it because
You
when
are.
it connects the bank account, it doesn't know if it's a bank account or a credit card.
No, it
just
doesn't.
says it's connectable.
Yeah.
So as long as you've got it right in QBO and you know you've got it right, you should be able to do
Yeah.
that.
No,
Okay,
it works
that's-
very
that's-
nicely. It works beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, then that's exactly what I'll do. Thank you for that because I was thinking otherwise, like I'm going to have to go in and do this silly journal entry every
Oh,
month
no.
to get this to balance. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. That there's got to be another way.
Yeah.
So perfect. I will do that. Change that. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So then the only other thing that I kind of thought it's a hot topic this week, and we we're all, civil people here. So I think that's a great place to bring it up, but it's definitely a hot topic. Of course, those of us in Canada have just recently received the emails that went out this week. I'm not sure if everybody got them or if only some, if they're kind of coming out in waves with regards to the QBO Live getting ready to do research and come up to Canada. Now we've got, of course, two of our colleagues from the US who've had QBO Live or QB Live already down. So that's where QuickBooks is offering the bookkeeping. And that's been live down in the States for a year anyway now. Hopefully they've worked the kinks out, because I know that there was a lot of screaming because they weren't supposed to contact people that were already connected with the Pro Advisor. And I know that was happening.
All of my
Hopefully
clients they've contacted. Every one of
all
them.
of them.
Every one.
Mine, even those that I paid for the subscription.
Yep, every single
Really?
one.
Wow.
I could log in right.
Originally, they said we're not going to contact, and after all the backlash, now they say yes, we will contact everybody.
Contacted everyone.
Oh.
Oh dear, we got caught. Oh, well, we really
Yeah,
meant to say we
exactly.
are going to. Yeah, yeah,
Pretty much.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
every one
okay,
of
I
my
hadn't-
clients, I can log in right now and look right at the details that say, do you want QBO Live? And set them right up.
Wow.
Every
okay.
single client.
So that's interesting. That I was not aware. I knew that, there had been some glitches, or so I heard. There had been some glitches with that, but I didn't realize that everybody had been contacted.
Everyone.
So let's have, of course, a civil conversation then about everybody's opinions on that, because I know everybody's got differing opinions. I chose not to post my email. There's certain people posted their emails out in groups this week, and put let's have a nice discussion. I watched. I knew like a day in advance that it was coming out because I'm under the Intuit Trainer Writer Network. So I was warned, advised in advance it was coming. So I thought, okay, I'll keep an eye. And I chose not to post anything on it because nobody was talking about it. And I thought, you know what? Let's let sleeping dogs lie for right now. I didn't want to get people all wired up about it. I figured they're going to get all wired up on the other groups. But I thought, well, you know what? Let's kind of talk about it now, because we've got, everybody with different opinions from, somebody that's, you guys have already had it, down there for a while, us coming. So let's kind of open that discussion up. And of course, if anybody decides they want to join in, I'm still watching the attendee list. You can come in and join live on Facebook, or feel free to put your comments in the comment group. So I'll just kind of start with my opinion then. And of course, I respect everybody else's opinions. I respect that not everybody's going to feel the same way that I do. Absolutely. Oh, Stacy?
Sorry, before you give your opinion on it, I've kind of sort of heard about this QB Live. I heard it's coming to Canada. Can I find out a little bit more about exactly what it is and what QBO or what Intuit is thinking that they get to offer?
Sure. So essentially, they're offering bookkeeping services to people who, and again, our email said who are not connected to a Pro Advisor, for up in Canada, obviously, if there's glitches or non-glitches or whatever, could definitely change things. But that's what we're told. So it's going to be, they're taking accounting professionals, people who are not just Pro Advisors or, kitchen table counters, kitchen table bookkeepers, as I call them, which is people who don't really have the knowledge to be able to do what we do. Not saying that learning in a classroom environment is any different, but in order to get hired, my understanding, and because I've actually seen it and I was looking at trying to supplement, is you have to have a degree. You have to have a degree, or you have to have that classroom education. You don't necessarily have to have a ton of experience. I think they're looking for a minimum of 6 months or something. So to me, it looks like it's a great place for people who maybe are newly out of school, or starting their own company and need to supplement, that they can go in with, a minimum of a 6 month commitment. They, pick up so many hours a week, and it'll help give them a little bit more practical experience from that side of things. From the customer side of things, it is supposed to be able to, and then Jessica and Deb, I'd love for you guys to jump in after that to let me know like your experience from your clients, because again, you guys are actually experiencing this. So from the customer standpoint, it is supposed to be, again, people not connected with a pro advisor, as far as our understanding, but it's meant to be just to kind of help them, that they've got somebody who is more educated than their regular support people now, somebody who doesn't want to connect with a bookkeeper, to be able to help them with basic things, reconcile, add their expenses in, hopefully nothing too complex. That's what we're being told. So Jessica and Deb, if you guys would like to jump in first as to your experiences, I'd love to hear about that.
Sure. I mean, all of Facebook has heard my complaining about their marketing, so I won't cover that. But I've had dealt with some prospects that have come to me from live bookkeeping. You know, a lot of people were concerned that it was going to steal our clients. If anything, it's getting me new clients. Just this week, I talked to a prospect that she had a new business, signed up for the account, so she got the in-product advertising, and she thought she was just scheduling a discovery call just to learn about it. Well, before the call, her card was automatically charged $200 for the first month of service, and then they rescheduled the call twice, so it got pushed into the next month, so then her card got charged another $200.
Oh,
And
no.
she still hadn't had any onboarding, no questions answered, nothing. So she ended up just canceling everything. Then I had another one that had used it for 2 months. And the way they explained it is that you have an assigned bookkeeper that you schedule appointments with, and then you have a video meeting with them. You can see the bookkeeper, but the bookkeeper cannot see you. But you still have to do your own daily entry. You have to post your own invoices, your own payments, your own transactions. The bookkeeper is supposed to, at the end, categorize and reconcile. This person said no work was ever done. So I don't know if just these two people had gotten bad apples or if it's part of the kinks to be worked out. But so far, it doesn't seem like it's a good value or a good service. If anything, it's making it easier for me to sell my services. Now, I also have talked to other bookkeepers that had been hired and become employees. And Intuit had reached out to me, encouraging me to apply. And I'm like, no, thanks, I'm good. But those that work for them, they love it. Now, they haven't been doing it for very long, so I guess I don't know how they'll feel a few months down the line. But the feedback from those on the inside said that it's very good training and very responsive team atmosphere, listening to feedback. So the jury's still out there. I mean, it is a new product that has officially started May of last year, so it hasn't even been a year.
Yep.
So it's going to continue to evolve.
Awesome. Well, and that's interesting to hear, because yeah, my opinions were, very kind of similar to your experiences. I'm like, I'm not threatened at all. But anyway, so Deb, have you had any direct experience, you or any of your clients, with it?
The only thing I have from my clients is the complaint of being constantly harassed to use it. That's been the main complaint, is why is it not only, when you go into QuickBooks, their file and to, work on it or look at it, or they're going in to do something, or just add a user or something, and they're just being bombarded with QuickBooks Live, QuickBooks Live. But the constant emails that they're still getting, separate from just logging into QuickBooks, they're getting marketing emails on the side to their direct master admin email address that's saying, use this, use this, use this, use this. And they're just, my clients are just happy. And they're actually saying, can't we find something else to use? Because I am tired of being the guinea pig for receiving these constant marketing ads. And I said, yeah, we can move on. Absolutely. And I give them my list of, what we can work with and what the cost is, but what it's going to take to, convert. But anyway, so that's the majority that I see. And then to touch on Jessica's side about them saying, why don't you start working on it? From what I've seen, and I have no idea if this is true or not, it's just what I've seen and what I've read, in the United States, they're only paying $15 to $18 an hour. And so, yeah, I guess if you have no experience and these, QuickBooks or Intuit is willing to hire a non-experienced person and train them on your books, I wouldn't want to be the recipient of that. But I mean, working for 15 to 18 bucks an hour, and somebody is going to train you on the job training, by all means, have at it. But I would not want to be the client having somebody being the guinea pig and then paying, just like Jessica said, the gal paid 200, didn't hear from anybody. Then the next month come along, she's got another 200 and still didn't hear anybody, or whatever the communication was. So she's got $400 invested that they used her money without interest payments, and then it didn't work out anyway. So look at the time wasted on that right there alone. And then to find out that these clients have to enter everything themselves anyway. What is it that they're really paying for? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. But like I said, I have not worked with it myself. Yes, I've had clients that came from it, and I've seen the mess, and it's still a big cleanup mess for QuickBooks. Irregardless, whether they're doing it or the client's doing it, it's still a cleanup.
And you know what, up in Canada, again, I can't speak for it. I have no idea what they're doing up here, but I do know up in Canada firsthand, the amount that they were paying for people on the TurboTax side. So on the tax side, they've been doing that for years.
Yes.
You know, connect with the tax advisor. I looked at that myself and I thought, this is great. I'll just do it, you know, and help supplement this and that, do like 10 hours a week, whatever, as I was growing. And then when I looked at what they were paying, I'm like, that's not worth my time. And you know, because it's not a high wage. So you're right, they're not going to get, you know, our caliber. They're not going to get, and I guess hearing that, you know, it's a little concerning too, is I don't know what the training is that people are going to be getting, because they have to, I know they have to have an education, and they have to, again, I'm not 100% certain. I think they were looking for 6 months experience with something, and to be QBO advanced certified. So they did have some qualifications, but no, and Diane's saying no.
No. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And that's coming from a trainer. So
And here, I was just looking for the email that they had sent me when they were recruiting, but they had the requirements is you needed to be a certified advisor.
okay.
You needed to have at least 1 year experience working with QuickBooks Online and doing bookkeeping for small businesses. CPA is not required, but it's preferred. I do want some sort of education, but it was not a very high standard. Now, in terms of the hourly wages, I've heard lots of different numbers being thrown about. When I was reached out, they were offering me $25 an hour as an employee. Some of the people that I know work for them are making $20 an hour, and you have to commit 20 hours per week. That's not worth my time. I make a lot more per hour in my own business.
Right.
So it's great for somebody starting up. They need the money, they need to get the experience, but you know, for somebody like me, no thanks.
So basically, bottom line, from both of your experiences, it's not a threat to your businesses. And it's funny because I mean, and some people say, because, you know, I am QBO, solely QBO, I don't see myself switching from that, except for one client who's still on desktop. You know, I am part of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network. Some people say that, well, my opinion is, you know, I'm paid to have that opinion. I'm not paid to have an opinion. What they pay me for through the Trainer Writer Network is only for, you know, anything that I train for. That they pay me for the time to train, and that is it. And I think anybody who knows me knows that no matter what, my opinion is my opinion. And, you know, sometimes I might be, well, if I've got nothing, you know, nice to say, maybe I don't say too much, but if it's, you know, I definitely don't lie about my opinion, regardless of anybody, but I would never accept any money for that. So, but my opinion, again, has always kind of been that, you know what, I don't see them as a threat. Anybody that I want to deal with is not going to want to rather deal with the call center, first off. They're going to want to deal with somebody who has my experience, my level of it, my expertise, and the extras that we offer. So I think it's an opportunity for us to take a look at, what are we offering our clients to keep that loyalty? If our clients are loyal to us, they're not going anywhere, no matter how many, you know, ads get bombarded at them. It's unfortunate that they still don't have the marketing worked out, that they're still bombarding people that are attached to a pro advisor. Hopefully that changes very quickly. Hopefully somebody is watching this and is hearing that they're losing, you know, they're losing subscriptions over it, because
I've
it's really
got one
sad.
client that has had enough. She says, we're going to something else because I am not dealing with this anymore. And it's
Yeah,
like,
and that's sad for something that shouldn't have been in the first place. I think they're lucky that they didn't lose a lot more subscriptions because of the way it came out. And
hey, Kurt, certainly could. We wouldn't know. Nobody's going to tell us. So,
You
Now,
know,
what
I'm not worried about, losing my clients per se to QBO. And we all are like experienced bookkeepers, but I'm just looking at it from like a long term. So if QBO continues to train these people, they eventually become skillful bookkeepers. So, and I don't know which direction the Intuit is going. Like, are they going to keep them as like a certain level, and then after that, like they're gonna go on their own and have their own business, or like go and get hired by like a larger companies, or or Intuit planning to train them to the fullest to be able to provide what we are providing right now. I understand that the personal touch that we have and the relationship that we have with our clients is irreplaceable. But the thing is that when you are out looking for new clients, it makes it harder to to get new clients, because they're going to say, okay, they always have this in their head that comparing our prices without knowing the value that they're going to get from us, comparing it to what Intuit is offering. So yes, Jessica, you had an experience that like they came back to you and it's a mess, and we all gonna get that. Like they're gonna come back, and I had a couple of them. So they come back and they thought that it's just a press a button and everything's gonna go, and they come back and all their balance sheet items are all over the place. So we have to clean it up. So personally, like I'm not worried about like losing my clients to this process, but I don't know like but I know that it's going to be hard to get new clients at the first contact before they actually go and experience this one. Everyone likes to pay less for the same service till they realize it's not the same service. So that's how I look at it.
And you know what? That's a really good point of Shannon. And I think that's where we need to look at, and I think Daniel probably agrees with me, we need to look and see how we can have a better value conversation with those people right up front to show this is what you're going to get from me, and show our value. So yeah, it might be a little bit harder on that on one side, but then again, on the flip side, if somebody is looking for the cheapest way to do it and not looking into the value, is that somebody that you really want to work with? That's what I would question back out. I don't want to work with people that are always looking for the bottom dollar.
No, I don't like to be bargaining like constantly. Yeah.
Something that I'm curious about, because I've seen people post this on Facebook, and I would never consider doing this, but enough people see this as an opportunity of using QuickBooks Live to do as a way of outsource the bookkeeping. Has anybody done that with success? I am not about to try it. I'm not interested. I already seen that the quality standard is not up to my levels. But I've seen enough people that are saying, oh, I'll happily pay Intuit $200 to let them do the work, and I charge the client more. I don't even know how it's going to work, because the client can see in the subscription that there's a QuickBooks Live subscription connected, and they'll be reaching to the master admin, not the accountant. But that's
I don't understand that concept.
Yeah, I don't understand
CPAs.
Yeah,
Oh.
CPAs are the tax advisors that offer bookkeeping, but don't like to.
This is a fantastic thing for CPAs. They love it. They can get clean books because Intuit's going to make sure that they're clean books when they go to them, and then they can then take it right into Profile, another product of Intuit's. Or
from what I've seen so far, is not clean, but maybe they're not looking deeply.
That's what the CPA. So that's one way that we are going to lose our customers through this process, because we're not going to get referral from accountants.
I have a completely different take on this because of where I come from.
No, that was a question. Not another statement.
From my, I know all of us that are influencers and that are out there, really building and advisory type bookkeeping businesses are going to be just fine. None of that matters what Intuit is doing. But I have never been about the elite. I have always been about the bookkeeper. And I think that what I don't like about this is Intuit is now gone into the bookkeeping business. They were never that before. They were a software company.
Right.
And they are turning slowly, going towards becoming a bookkeeping company so that they can control that for their other aspirations of the tax services. So they can take over the complete small to medium-sized business. I did go out onto Facebook and I asked a lot of as many as I could, bookkeepers in the US from the Bookkeepers Side Hustle group, if anybody had started working for Intuit. And yes, there had been some, because of course, not every bookkeeper wants to go into business for themselves.
Or find clients.
Yeah, or find clients or do the marketing and all of that kind of stuff. So there are some that it works really well. What I got told is if you're at that entry level position where you've just come out of school or something, then yes, you're getting a very small wage, somewhere between $15 and $18 an hour. And then as they assess your ability, so when you get up to Jessica's level, yeah, she should be getting top wage, which is $25 an hour. If she was, actually going to go into that. Most of them are right in between that, and they're in around $21, $22 an hour to do it. What bothers me about this is I can't just think about us. All of us are going to be just fine in this, but all of the bookkeepers and the people that are trying to build a small business are having a giant to compete with now. It's like going out and trying to compete with Walmart. You're never going to be able to do it the way that they do it. Now, I won't shop at Walmart because my values are that I won't do that. I only shop local and support small businesses because that's how I've always kicked the can kind of thing. So I guess advice-wise, I think that the biggest advice is get close to your clients, very close to your clients. Because as we all know, because we've all dealt with all of the big software companies, they don't give good service. They can't. They're too big. It's crappy support. It's crappy service all around. That's really, the bottom line is that. We hear it every single day all over Facebook on how they can't get their problems answered. That's not going to ever change because they just can't be. Absolutely. They just can't be as nimble as somebody that's a sole proprietor can be. And so it does change what someone needs to focus on in a bookkeeping business now. And that's going to be their customer relationship and actually having constant touch points along the way with the client. So the client feels value from you and feels connected to you and feels that you actually care about their business, because there's no way that Intuit's going to be able to get that across, that they care about their business. They want their business. They're being driven by the dollar and the bottom line for Intuit. So that's the only place you can compete with them. But the other thing is don't be fooled. They're getting into the bookkeeping end of just the data entry because they've got the AI to do it. But it's, that you can see where this is all going. They'll get into AI and they'll get into advisory services and they'll get into cash flow forecasting. So it's all going to be down the road. So to sit back and say, and I'm not criticizing anybody for doing it, but to sit back and say, I'm going to be okay, I'm not worried. I worry because I'm not worried about me, but as a profession, and it goes back to why I started IPBC.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't so that somebody else could come in and take away business from the small bookkeeper. That bothers me. And it's not just Intuit. they're just the first out of the gate.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
there
there's
will be
been
more.
Bench. They're not the first set of the. They're the.
But
they're
different.
No,
No, Tanya,
slightly
that's
different.
different.
That's a
Bench is a bookkeeping company.
Right, you're right. They didn't
Bench
start
is
as a
not
software.
a software
Software.
company that's
You're
going
right.
into a different business. And that's important to actually
You're right.
realize that difference. So,
But
Um,
also,
But this is a trend, isn't it? Like that's the direction it's gonna
yeah,
go,
absolutely.
whether it's Intuit or any other one. So I think it just, you know, for our generation, like we might still be able to, you know, do it. But if you look at it long term, bookkeeping with all these AIs and you know, advancement of data entry
you
is
have to change your business model. You have
Well,
to
and
get
that's
into
the
those
thing.
things.
all the CPAs I'm working with are moving to BotKeeper.
Yeah.
They're not going to keep the staff doing data
Yeah.
entry. That's
Yeah.
ended. Those days are over. So BotKeeper is replacing all of the data processing for bank feeds, the
Mhm.
receivable side, the payable side, all the basic stuff is being replaced by BotKeepers for all the CPAs that I know.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So-
It's where it's going. So you have to be that person that becomes that trusted, and I don't like the word trusted advisor, but that you have a close enough relationship, and I mean a very close relationship with your clients to that they don't want to deal with the person that pops up on the screen because they don't believe that person cares about their business. And the one great thing about bookkeepers is that's always been in our makeup. We care sometimes more about their businesses than we do about our own. And
Yeah.
that's why, you know, we struggle to make money sometimes. But that will be the way to the future to keep, and it'll look very different. Bookkeeping, a bookkeeper will look very different in 10 years than what it's looked like over the last 10 years.
Well, and
everything
you've
is
been saying that for
changing.
years.
Everything is
Well,
changing. Like
and-
look at the millennium generation. Like and after that, they don't like to talk to people. They don't like to, you know, talk on the phone. They don't like to be face-to-face communication. So they like to just go online, get advice from whatever, you know, company is, and
But
read the
because
reviews.
they like to use technology does not mean
Yeah.
that they don't want relationships. And
Yes.
in fact,
I don't know.
We
see
have
it-
a lot of millennials
Yeah,
clients.
and, and
Yeah.
I actually see it going it the other way. The more AI that comes into our lives, the more important relationships become to us
Yep.
because we're missing that. And so when we get somebody that we can relate to and we can actually work really well with, and we know they care, that will be what Intuit won't be able to provide. They'll be able to provide everything else, but they won't be able to provide that one-on-one relationship.
They're going to supply it for a short period because people are going to
Yes.
get fed
Yes.
up and then they're going to bail. So yeah,
That's
maybe
right. Yes.
3 months to 6 months, but then after that, and once bitten, twice shy, as the saying goes.
Yeah.
They're going to leave and find whatever they're looking for,
Yeah.
or keep looking down the line. They're not going to stay with Intuit.
And they do it, and I heard they doing it by transaction. So up to 2,500 transactions a month is $200 a month, and then if you go over that, it's a bit more. And how they do it. And as far as you having to do the day-to-day stuff, what you have to do is make sure that the automation is actually working.
Well, and
Diane,
that's
did
what-
you say 2,500 transactions?
That's the number I got told. Yeah.
That's a very large number
But
per month.
where this concerns me in Canada is anybody doing that, how can you be truly compliant? We look at every receipt. We don't use the automation
I
because
know,
of the way
I
our
know.
taxes are and
Yes.
everything. So I know some states it's a little easier, but the way we are here, no.
Mm.
You know what? Just because that says gas station on it doesn't mean that dollar was, you know, gas. No, I'm sorry, that dollar was a bottle of pop or,
I know.
Yeah.
you know,
So we'll
something
see a
that's-
couple of companies that get audited that use QuickBooks Live,
That's
and
what
if
I'm waiting for.
yeah, and
Yeah.
see what happens from that, right? Because that will also tarnish their reputation if
Mhm.
they can't get through a Canadian audit and produce really good books.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's one thing that I'm not concerned about. The other
Yeah.
thing is this is not my first industry. Of course, people that know about me know I come from the insurance industry first. 17 years in insurance, which overlapped with with this, and there's lots of gray underneath there too for some of you that think I'm really young. But I was in the insurance, and I worked for the exact same thing happened in insurance. I worked for a small brokerage, and then all of a sudden I end up, and I was one of those, I jumped ship because they had, the banks had bigger money. I was the 18th person hired with CIBC Insurance, who was the first company to launch the banks going into insurance in the call center. And there was a lot of legal regulations that they couldn't go back and forth. But I'll tell you, as somebody who got there, I saw them fall flat on their face. They did end up coming back around because they hired, the first bunch of us with the knowledge, but then they started bringing in people with, again, just data entry. And we're like, you can't teach them this. There is too much that you need to know. They realized very quickly that it wasn't always about the relationships. And what ended up happening, that there are now, so TD Insurance, they're still technically TD Insurance, but I'll tell you, they're actually not running any of it. They're the investor now, and it's run by, they bought Security National, Liberty Mutual, and Monix, because I used to work for two of the three, and they bought them. They're running the show, so they're basically just an investor at this stage of the game. But it's, again, a different type of clientele. In the CIBC, I don't think they're even around any. I think they end up selling out to back to insurance companies. They're like, you know what, we're just done with this. We've learned, we're gone. But again, the relationship was very, very different. So it's different people go to each, and you don't have the loyalty to those big call centers. So I've seen it on both sides, that you're right. We need to be, we need to be aware of what we're doing. And that's why this is actually one topic in boot camp that we talk about. How can you do that and be there? We still kind of term it trusted advisor because that's what still people know it as, but it's what can you do that's different to create that loyalty. So like Sandra, since you've been through, it's morphed a little bit since then. It's, the topic to, again, bring in what can you do that's different? How can you create that loyalty so that way your client's not going to leave?
But the example that you used, Tanya, it's a good example of insurance. Even if you look at that one, you can see that, like, the insurance used to be that we all went to an office, met with a person, went over all the terms, but now you send an email or you go online, they give you all the details. I've done it. I'm,
Check the box,
you know,
put in your
and then
credit card and you're good to
exactly,
go.
and they give you the price, and then if you have more questions, then you call one person. But
You do a chat online. Yeah. there's no
exactly,
problem.
yeah. So the big part
no
of it
loyalty.
is
There's
done.
no loyalty.
No, there's no loyalty, but you get your insurance. And so, I mean, like, we have to be realistic. Like, maybe not in our like the people that are here and with more experience, but the bookkeeping, the way that's been done is going to be dead. So it's
It
just.
is, but I mean, insurance, there's still insurance brokers. But what are those brokers doing? Yes, they're having to kind of work a little bit harder initially to gain that loyalty. But there's still an abundance of insurance brokers. And I know, again, in Belleville, a lot of people are like yourself, Diane. They don't want to deal with the big guy. I only am, but it's this. I've been with the same company since I very first got my first license. Yes, it was the company. It was Liberty Mutual that was bought up by TD, and I'm on the Monix side of things because I've got a group rate. But I know all the people there. I know the bigwigs because the CEOs, they were working in the trenches with me, like back in, in
Not in
1989.
Toronto. Like, we don't know anyone in Toronto,
You know, the other thing that
That's
I did,
where I worked. Yeah, it's the Yonge and Eglinton office, but I still know the people there. But yeah.
the other thing I learned from, just quickly, because I know we're over, the other thing that I learned from a bookkeeper in the US that had gone through a couple of interviews was that they are willing to train you to get your QBO certification.
Okay.
So if they think that you've got some schooling and you have the basics behind you, then they'll help you do that. So it's not an absolute necessity to have that to get hired. It'll just depend on how busy they get, right, as to how much they lax those rules as to how much experience.
And that's true. I saw that firsthand with CIBC Insurance. So you're right. It went from, we only want people. That's why, we went there because they paid more. And then they're like, okay, we can't afford to pay everybody what we're paying, the best of the best. So now we need to bring some people in, and they brought in data entry people. So
I really hope that what bookkeepers that are just starting out take away from this is that they really absolutely need to know their skill and their craft. And then they need to get really close to their clients. And if they do that, that they can, do some strategy planning and all of those new services that we need to be offering. I think that they'll come out okay on top. But the ones that kind of sit back and they don't connect with their clients other than sending financial statements, and they're basically learned how to run a software program and not really what the numbers mean and the hidden numbers in there, then they're gonna be in trouble. They'll be
one thing my clients always tell me: I have never had an accountant who contacts me as much as you do.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Yeah.
Normally it's just the financials, the bank recs are done, and especially for my sales tax clients, I help them through the audits if there are any, and that just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that's just going to put, more, an extra, and I don't want to say weight because I don't mind doing it, but an extra, let's say, responsibility on the shoulders of those of us that, are more senior and that are advocates for the community, like Diane, myself, the influencers that, people are watching, is to continuously send that message out there. And Diane, I am actually just thinking that you and I should chat about maybe doing a group, like a joint session at IPBC about how they can add value to differentiate themselves.
Yes. That's great. I mean, you know me, I'll do anything that's going to give somebody a leg up and help them in their business. As long as they're bookkeepers, I'm there.
Yeah. So Stacy, now you've been quiet, and I know we're over time there. So for anybody watching, thanks so much for being with us. So yeah, you just took a lot in, not really hearing too much about it. And there was a few times I saw you try to type in. So it's all yours.
I did just take a lot in, and I was kind of looking through my email going, did I get this email? And I don't know. QBO has my email all screwed up, so who knows what I get.
Or they could be coming out in waves. They could just be coming out in waves as well.
Could be. You know what? I just kind of roll my eyes at it. I still get payroll reports. I have begged them. I'm like, they haven't been my client for 2 years. I don't care if they've submitted their payroll. Could you please stop sending them to me?
Yeah.
Right?
You actually can call, submit a ticket, and Dervina is the one that actually does that. I finally got some taken care of.
Oh,
so
I will.
We'll talk off. We'll talk off here on that. We'll get it.
I kind of just sort of, Diane's right. They're a software company. Like I would walk into class, and I've said it before. I teach this class of new entrepreneurs. They get QBO. Sort of, here you go. You're gonna start off your business as a student. You get to use this QBO, and they all kind of laugh, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Danny DeVito. I've seen him on." And of course, if you look at those commercials, Danny DeVito is telling you on how you just set up QuickBooks and, wave your receipt in front of the computer. It'll do it all for you. You know?
One push button. That's all you need.
Right? I don't know how many clients have contacted me and said, oh, yeah, I set up QBO and I attached it to my bank. How come my financial statements are blank? Well, because you actually have to do that next step.
Business
trying to fix it. And so I kind of listen to all this. I think much like, the lady from Florida.
Jessica or Afsana?
Jessica. Yeah. I think just like Jessica, it's just going to cause more people to call us and go, could you?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Now I'm going to play devil's advocate just for a minute here. And so I'm glad Diane's in BC, so she doesn't kind of smack me over this one. It just popped into my head. So here we are talking like this, and I certainly agree with all of this. Again, the concern, I agree with, I love Diane. I agree with her on like probably almost anything that I've ever heard her say. But I like to play devil's advocate. Yeah. So we're concerned on this. Let's put ourselves in the accountant's position. When QBO came out, which gave us the opportunity to actually start advising our clients, I've gained a crap load of business, and my business has changed drastically. And the accountants that weren't contacting their clients and had that relationship lost them. Mm-hmm. The one that I took to the Firm of the Future was a perfect example. Yeah. As I was filling her information out on the Firm of the Future application, I got hit by about a week ahead of time. She had called me I gave her information that 5 years prior, she would have called the accountant. And when I asked her why, it's because our relationship had changed from a place where she just dropped off transactional every 30 days, picked up and exchanged, to one where we had more of a relationship. So, I think that we're just in the day and age that I think no matter what, we need to take care of our clients, because regardless, there's going to be a shift and a change. Sometimes it's for the best, sometimes it's for the worst.
I've said it many times. Well, I've said it many times since the QB Connects. Accounting is changing and is going through its biggest change since software, the advent of software, right? We kind of came home and went, we got to step up our game, and started creating, here, I did your bookkeeping that you dropped off 6 months worth of stuff because you don't think you need to do it any more than 6 months. And I provided a report, and in the recommendations, it's okay. Let's move up. Now let's do this quarterly rather than semi-annual. It's going to be a tough change for some of our clients, but you know what? If we can just change this a little bit at a time, and I think it's going to be the same type of thing. I think it's going to step up our game, and maybe it'll get rid of, I really like the way you put that, Tanya, the kitchen table bookkeepers.
And I need to be very careful to anybody out there. I'm not talking about somebody that is not classroom educated. I am not classroom educated. I have my CPB. I worked harder. I thought I wasn't worth it. And it turns out when I compared the education, I actually got myself a better education because I felt I had more to prove with that. But when I say the kitchen table bookkeepers, it is people who are, I can balance a checkbook, I can bookkeep. I can do what you do because I can balance my own checkbook. That's what I'm referring to. So
you know what? The Vancouver Sun did an article when I started IPBC on, starting up the Institute. And I'm quoted in that article along with Randall Orser, who was also one of the other people that started IPBC with me. And we would call them that we were tired of working with competing with the kitchen table bookkeeper. That's what they were called even back then, and we're talking now 12, 13 years ago. And they were the people that decided, not any training whatsoever, that they took accounting in high school, that they're going to be at home with their kids for a couple of years, want to make a few extra bucks. So, and the software companies tell me I can learn to do this by just buying the software. By then you went to Staples and bought it off the shelf, but
that button, all you gotta do is push that button.
Exactly. And I can do this, and I'll do it for $15 an hour. And we were trying to raise up the actual wage that a bookkeeper was getting at the time. So that was the whole point behind it. One of the things that I'm most proud of is I think IPBC did an amazing job at bringing the bookkeepers together and giving them the confidence to ask for more money. What our average hourly rate is now, I know some of us are fixed and all the rest of it, but that is so much more than what it was when we started, because we have the confidence to do that now.
IPBC, I would say, and then of course having you as a role model, Diane, is probably a good 75% responsible for the changes in me and where I am now. Before I joined IPBC, I was charging $15 an hour. I was doing that, but now I mentored under another bookkeeper, and I was mainly subbing myself out to the bookkeepers, going, you know what, I'll do this, from cheap here while I'm building my business. But I didn't have the confidence in myself. So it wasn't that I didn't have the knowledge. I did not have the confidence. Even though I mentored under a bookkeeper and everything was right,
that's right.
I still, because I was not classroom educated, I was not worth it. So going into IPBC made me aware that, oh my gosh, I know so much more than I thought I knew. I should be proud of what I know. It's, introduced me to Ron Baker and going through that. And so part of Intuit, but if I wasn't involved in that, I mean, my average rate, my training rate is $200 an hour training consulting. When we look at the bookkeeping, it's a blended rate. Again, if we were to kind of balance it out to your rate in the formula, about $75 an hour, because I'm not doing most of the work. So I figured, you know what, we put my rate in, sprinkle in, the lower rates. It's a blended rate of about $75 an hour. And
that's absolutely fantastic. It's
the whole. This has been in 7 years.
Yes.
7 years.
And what I don't want to see is that come down again, because we have to
Right.
compete with a software company that's putting it out for $200 a month. And
Right.
that's my concern. I'm sure I'll get all kinds of
Hate mail.
hate
You
mail
know what? It's a valid
on that.
concern.
On that, but you know what? I'm not thinking about this for me. I don't need to worry about it. I'm
Right.
thinking about the, people coming up behind me. And it could possibly also have another effect of bringing our rates down because we're competing. It's like the Walmart thing again too. You know what? You can buy the loaf of bread from the corner store, or you can buy it from Walmart, and it's always going to be cheaper at Walmart, and that puts pressure on the mom and pop store that sells the bread down the street. That's just
But
the way it
if you
works.
want to keep the mom and pop in your community, you have to support it.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
There.
That's right.
Irregardless.
Yeah.
At least
And-
with that, it's a little different because you want their community.
Absolutely.
You want them there. But
Yeah, and Intuit was doing a great job at supporting us up till
yeah.
this.
Yeah, I don't know. It's.
And I'm not, I'm using the word Intuit because they were the first out of the gate.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's just about the software companies.
No, absolutely, absolutely, very valid. But and it's going to be interesting to see what these plans actually are, because what I saw, because I have offered, if anybody out there has, any worry to be of direct threat to a product or service that I offer, I'm one of those people, because for years I've been offering I call it a support plan. I've talked about it a few times on here in Bootcamp. People get the real nitty gritty, but essentially I train clients to do their own books, so they pay me to do the training. Then they do their own, and I was charging $150 a month. They could have up to an hour with me to go through and review everything, and that was including the cost of the software. As soon as QBO Live announced in the States, I realized, holy crap, they're charging $200 for the same thing I do. I need to charge more and throw some more value. So now we are at, for anybody new, it's $180. That's still a bit of a discount because they're signing onto a monthly subscription. They pay their own subscription costs. So if their $200 includes a subscription, we still don't do any of the books. We still consult. They still have to pay me, an average of $175 an hour to do the training to begin with, which we've got stuff that we fall through. But what we've done is we actually send them in a monthly report card. So we review their books. Hopefully nobody's watching. We've got the review down to about 6 minutes. Mm-hmm. The review starts at about 20 minutes at first, but then once we've kind of had the client with us for 3 months or longer, it's down to about 6 minutes of the review.
That's a touch point. That's great.
Exactly. We send them that, and then we do a follow-up phone call to say, about a week after, hey, did you get that? Did you have any questions? I wanted to make sure that, you didn't just ignore the email, that you saw those items that were concerned. You've got your accounts receivable out or whatever. So we basically do a year-end review every single month and to every client and bring that to their attention. So the one thing that it taught me is I'm not charging enough for what I'm doing.
But your numbers are correct.
Yes.
Emphasize this
because I'm reviewing it. And
yes,
you're right. They're right. We're catching
are
that stuff.
correct. Your balance sheets are balancing with your bank statements. Your
what is it that David says? Bulletproof books?
Exactly. And that's exactly. We're going through.
Emphasize the numbers are correct. And when they file their taxes, if it's you doing it, Tanya, or whomever, the CPA is not having to ask, okay, what is this? Why do you have negatives in your bank account? Yeah, if you're overdrawn, but why is it $1 million?
Well, and we have custom reports that'll pull anything over, like, for example, if it should be, CCA, if it should be an asset. We're looking for that. Where do they put it? Yeah, mostly it's that stuff is hidden in office expenses. Oh, yeah, look, there's
miscellaneous.
That.
Ask your accountant. Which one of us has ask your accountant on a chart of accounts?
Every single one. We have an ask account and an ask client. So that way, if we're working with the client in tandem, if we're like not the support plan, but we've got another level up that we actually will kind of work.
So is that the same thing as the expense account?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We actually have 3. We have an ask accountant for the clients to use, an ask client that we use, and then we have an internal use only escalation account, which is really an ask Tanya account.
You
But we don't call it
analyze
Ask Tanya.
and you work out the number monthly. You do not let it
Yes.
build until there's so many transactions into it. You're going, there's no point. We're overwhelmed.
And that's exactly
That
it.
is your value right there.
And that's exactly when we added the value. And this is why I
Yes.
teach in boot camp too. So Stacy, we got to get you in the spring. No pressure. No, we've been talking offside about this.
Oh,
Anyway,
okay.
so I'm not pressuring her out of
Yes,
the blue.
Stacy.
But
Stacy, yes. Do
Yeah,
yourself a
but-
favor, protect your future, and go do the boot camp.
but you're
It's
right,
a
and that's
great
exactly it.
protection. I do.
And we need to be doing that. And Diane's been saying that for years. What was the name of that one that you did like 4 or 5 years ago? It's
Yeah.
bookkeeping
Proactive
is dead or
bookkeeper.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've
yeah.
been saying this
It's
for
so
years.
funny. It's always like, I don't know what it is. That if you talk to Marge, she says like, I'm a friggin' fortune teller when it comes to the bookkeeping business. But it always seems that I kind of out there saying something, and then 2 years, 3 years later, everybody else is on the.
Oh, they finally catch up. Okay.
Yeah, they're doing the webinars and stuff
Mhm.
on it. But
You're the fad. Okay, got it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
All
learned-
right.
I learned long ago from one of the CFOs I was working under, each month end is a year end, and we work it as if it were a
Absolutely.
year end, and
Yeah.
that's what
Absolutely.
we do.
So, those bookkeepers out, they just need to learn those skills. They really have to up
And
their
that's
game and
hands-on.
really know those statements and understand where everything's going, be able to project out, find the hidden numbers in the books, and touch points.
Well, and the skill to look at a balance sheet and a P&L and say,
right.
okay, something here is just not
That's right.
right.
Yeah.
And then let's get some more shameless marketing out. That's the side that Diane is doing with her trifold bookkeeping that they're working on, right? Hey, she gave boot camp. I'm not interested in that side of it. I'm interested in the rest of it, the how things work and the processes and the marketing and
Yeah.
all of that stuff. But that's where Diane, Marge, and Shelley have started their company, which is great because they're like, okay, let's take the bookkeepers and let's help tweak your skills so that you can catch all of that stuff and that
Yes.
you that stuff is caught.
You see those numbers right off the bat, boy.
Yeah.
Instant red flag. We've got a problem here. Stop the boat.
Yes.
Yep, exactly. Okay,
Yep.
so we are way over, but it's
Over.
been a great conversation and I love it. I just wanted to point out Lisa has, just for anybody who is not reading on Facebook, because of course I put this out on our YouTube channel afterwards, Lisa Mueller, who no relation to Diane Mueller.
Another child.
Her only concern, or her not only concern, her concern is more about the tarnishing the status of a pro advisor. That if live goes bad, it was sold under the guise that the clients have a pro advisor working with them. Are they going to hurt or trust, the rest of us? And again, I think that, and you know what, Lisa, that's a valid point. Let's hope that, QuickBooks learns and that's not happening. But if it does happen, and even if they try to train people so it's not happening, I think, in any field, there's good people and there's bad people in any field who are looking to do shortcuts.
Right.
So you can still get that. They can still have the best training program and you can still have that. But I really think, again, that's where we really need to show our value, talk about what we bring to the table and where the differences is between, that and us.
Yeah.
Without trashing, because I don't like, one of the questions that I ask with clients are coming are, why are you not using your last bookkeeper? And I don't like it. If somebody trashes them,
Right.
you know what, I won't use them. So, try to, keep
Or
your
they
class
blame
about the way you're
bookkeeper for
comparing.
everything. When they start blaming the bookkeeper for everything, you know what you're dealing with right off the
Yeah.
bat.
And that's
'Cause yes,
exactly it.
people
And-
make mistakes, but they don't make 100% mistakes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So same thing if you're talking about your competition, even if you've got a lot up on QB Live, even if they had the horrible experience, the worst possible experience, and their books were completely messed up, just, keep it factual, keep it classy, the comparison between what you've got and what they've got. I mean,
That's
I
right.
talk about like H&R Block when we talk about like in our income tax one in boot camp, I talk about that. And I know I took the H&R Block course because I was curious as to what they did. I was originally trained by Liberty Tax, which overlapped with my insurance, because when I ran at 25, I was a manager of an insurance office that had a Liberty Tax office in there. And I thought, if I need to learn complaints or deal with complaints, I need to know what I'm talking about. So I went and I learned it. Many years later, when I decided to kind of go full-time on taxes after I had my daughter, I went and took the H&R Block course more to see what my competition was up to. I know what they're up to, but I don't tell that to clients. I'm talking about them. I just say, you know what? Here's the facts. The facts are, and you can Google this anywhere.
Right.
To be a senior person with H&R Block, you need 2 years or more experience in taxes to be a senior. They, train by data entry. So I try to, again, stay classy, but work factual. Now, I can't use the same lines here, because here, I do know that they have a lot of the same people. They have stay-at-home moms who have been doing this for 20 years, because it's very different community than where I was up in Barrie or in Toronto, where you do have people that are just, out of work for the season. I actually really laughed one year. I saw a commercial and literally the liquid in my mouth ended up on the TV across the room because, and I'm probably going back 20 years almost. There was a commercial, guy walked in and he turned around. I can't remember what commercial it was for, but anyway, he turned around, he walked in, he sees a plumber, the whole plumber button, everything. And he's like, oh, the plumber turns around and he sees his face. He says, oh, you look familiar. Plumber looks at me. He says, yes. He says, last year when I was laid off, I did your taxes. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, how true. But again, it's not all the time. So you need to be really careful. Again, keep it classy, but do a comparison and really put the focus on what you're doing that's different and how you can give them the value and why they should spend extra money with you.
Yep.
You'll never be able to convince anybody 100% of the time.
Great.
I know people that will go and no matter what, they will buy stuff at the dollar store. And I'm like, but your pens, the pen that you buy, you're only going to get 1/5 of the usage out, but for $1.50 at Staples, you're going to get 5 times the usage. Some people just don't get it. Jennifer Solon, she's seen that commercial. Yeah. But yeah, you're not going to be able to change everybody's mind. Start to learn to be able to recognize who those people are that value and spend the time with them. So.
Yep.
Anyway, okay, we're 5 o'clock. We went half an hour over. I'm glad that we had a great conversation.
Starting to think
Stacey
it's
learned
me.
a
We
lot.
go over every time I get on the call.
No.
Then
You
that's
know what?
a good thing.
It's always such important conversations.
Yes.
It's important topics a lot of the time. That's why we go
it
over. And we enjoy each other's company. So,
Mhm. Okay, guys.
all right. Well,
Have a
thank
great
you very
weekend.
much. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
See you soon.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Bye.